Now for more of our one-on-one interview with Ozzy Osbourne. During the first hour he told me that he is getting used to living with a type of Parkinson's. I was in unbearable pain for 3 months. We thought everyone believed I was going to pass away. To be honest, I think death would have been a nice gift at that time. Many people think of Ozzy Osbourne as a rock star, but her life is actually very painful. A lot of people loved him, gave him money and screamed his name. But he also had to deal with things that no one should have to. Ozzy's life has not been easy. He grew up in a rough and poor area and has struggled with addiction for most of his adult life. He's lost close friends, had scary health scares and even scared himself with the way he acts. It's not just about music in his story. It's about staying alive, and there may be a darker side to it too. As we start at the beginning of Ozzy Osbourne's sad life and journey, we invite you to join us. I had a hard childhood in Birmingham. He or she was born in Marston Green on December 3, 1948. His childhood was spent in a poor area of Aston, Birmingham. His family had a hard time. At 14 Lodge Road, they lived in a small house with 2 bedrooms. With Ozzy and his 3 older sisters Jean, Iris and Gillian, there were a lot of people in it. Paul and Tony, 2 younger boys and their parents all live in the same room. There was no bathroom inside. At the end of the bed there was a bucket where you could go to the bathroom. Lillian was his mother, and she worked in a factory. Jack, his father, made tools and worked nights. The family did their best with the money they had. Ozzy had trouble learning when she was a child. He had dyslexia, which made it hard for him to do well in school. He was picked on a lot by other kids. Other things that made him stand out were his strong Birmingham accent, and the jokes that people made about it. Even though she was picked on, Ozzy was clever. He liked being in school shows like the Mikado and the HMS Pinhor. Life was hard away from the stage though. After going through a terrible event when he was only 11, Ozzy would always remember it. They hurt him physically because of 2 school bullies. They were going to wait for him on his way home and attack him. Even though he didn't go into specifics, he said it was bad. Even worse, one of the strikes took place in front of his sister. He was scared enough not to tell his guardians. He kept that pain and fear inside him. He later admitted that it really messed me up. Ozzy always told his kids to talk about their problems because of what he went through. They shouldn't have held things back the way he did. It hurt even more after that. As he grew up, things only got darker. He died young from being too dark. Ozzy could no longer stand going to school. He was picked on a lot, and his teachers hit him instead of helping him. He wrote this in his book Normal People. Our story. I quit going to school regularly when I was about 12 years old because I was sick of being called names and getting beat up. But not going to school didn't make things better. Things weren't better at home. By the time Ozzy was 14, he was drinking and doing drugs. If he could get it, he used it: drugs, drink, and even prescription drugs. His mind was full of heavy thoughts, so he tried to get away from them. Later he wrote, I couldn't explain these crazy, dark, sad, and confusing thoughts that were going through my head. He couldn't handle those thoughts any longer. One night it seemed like everything was breaking down. He thought he was going to die. He later said that he felt so down that he was like someone sinking in the ocean. Ozzy tried to kill himself that night. He was only 14 years old. Thank goodness that wasn't the end. Just in time, his dad got home and stopped him. 4:02. That could have been his last moment. But Ozzy's life had something else planned. He still felt pain, and it didn't go away overnight. That terrible event stuck with him. He still felt lost after that dark night. It wasn't for fun that I was drinking. I was treating myself. It's called Dutch cowking. He skipped school. He tried to find a way to stay alive instead. Ozzy quit school for good when she was 15. He began working anywhere he could. He worked as a laborer on building sites, as a plumber, as a horn tuner in a car factory, and even as a butcher. But none of those jobs made him feel calm or gave him a sense of direction. Things changed again when they were 17. Ozzy tried to rob a clothing store. He was caught. He needed to pay a fine but didn't have the cash. He wanted to teach him a lesson, so his dad wouldn't help. Ozzy was sent to Winston Green Prison for 6 weeks. He was changed a lot by his short time in jail. It was cold and harsh inside the jail, and it was not like the outside world at all. It seemed like all of a sudden Ozzy was surrounded by adults, crooks, and a system that didn't care about his pain. It woke me up. Though he had done many wrong things, being locked up made everything seem real. It was also a lonely time. Behind bars there is no music or thoughts, just long empty days. After the fact, Ozzy said that the 6 weeks showed him what kind of life he didn't want. He knew he couldn't keep going in the same direction. He held on to one thing, the dream that the Beatles had given him, even though things were bad. Things were going wrong all around him, but that dream was still alive. Ozzy Osbourne became famous as the lead singer of Black Sabbath in the late 1960s, after being fired from his dream job. When they started in 1968, the band quickly became one of the most important in heavy metal history. There were albums like Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Master of Reality, and Paranoid that changed the music world. Fans loved how loud, dark, and strong they were. It wasn't going so well behind the scenes, though things were going badly for the band by the late 1970s. The band began to lose faith in themselves after the record's Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die didn't get good reviews. They were also having trouble with drink and drugs. Each person was having problems, but Ozzy's was getting worse. I did it to get up with other people. You know, Van Halen, who opened for them on tour, was getting more press than Sabbath. It got even worse after that. It looked like Ozzy was pulling away. He was drinking a lot, doing more drugs, and skipping band chores. Everyone else in the group tried to help, but it didn't work. In 1979, they had to make a tough choice. Ozzy was fired. It really hurt him. He said later that he felt lied to. He said, "I was too drunk to think straight." But he also thought it wasn't fair, since other people were using too. But the choice was made, and Ozzy was kicked out. It wasn't the end though. It was the start of a new part of his life that would be full of both happiness and sadness. A fresh start and a terrible loss. While Ozzy was being kicked out of Black Sabbath, many people thought his career was over. But he shocked everyone. His first record by himself, Blizzard of Oz, came out in 1980. It went really well. He then made another hit record, and by 1982, Ozzy's name was back on the map. The new guitarist he got, Randy Rhoads, helped him a lot. Randy was young, smart, and full of life. He played the guitar in a unique and interesting way. Ozzy and Randy became good friends, and the two of them made a new sound. It gave Ozzy new ideas, but in 1982, tragedy struck. 3 people, including the guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne's band, died in a plane crash this morning. The band took a break while on tour in Florida. No matter how scared Randy was, he agreed to take a short plane ride. Andy Aoki, who drove their bus, flew the plane even though he didn't have permission to do so because his license had passed. He flew low over the tour bus, where the other people were sleeping with the band. The plane hit the bus on the 3rd pass and crashed. It went off. Randy Rhoads was only 25 years old. The crash woke Ozzy up. When he ran outside, he saw that the wreckage was on fire. He would always remember that moment. He later said, "In a way, I'm still standing on that field and staring at the burning crash site." The death of Rai broke him. Through music and company, Ozzy had found hope again, but it was gone in an instant. Problems that would not go away. Ozzy was very hurt when Randy Rhoads died. He talked about how much it hurt him in later conversations. In 2011, he told The Guardian, "It took me a long time to get over his death. I'm still on a low dose of antidepressants." He said Randy gave him a reason to live. He gave him hope, but that spark went out after the crash. It was hard for Ozzy to make music. He told Rolling Stone, "After Randy died, I was kind of emotionally hurt. There were tears again before I could get back on track with recording." The sadness wouldn't go away, and it wasn't the only thing that was making him feel bad. Ozzy had been struggling with drug abuse for years. He hasn't tried to hide it. In fact, he wrote about it in his book, I Am Ozzy. It seemed like he took a lot of different drugs, like cocaine, heroin, marijuana, sleeping pills, glue, cough syrup, and more. He often mixed them with alcohol too. Later he learned that he had some rare genes that changed how his body dealt with drugs, which may explain how he was able to stay alive for years of heavy use. It's strange that caffeine, not the harder drugs, had one of the strongest effects. Even Ozzy couldn't keep it up forever. He's been clean since 2006, and has talked about how much he misses those years, which were full of blackouts and mistakes. He knows the damage can't be fixed, but he's tried to move on. When the lights went out, Ozzy's shows were known for their crazy energy. Fans loved the noise and chaos, but sometimes things got out of hand. In 1986, something terrible happened at a concert in Long Beach, California. A fan named John Loftus was in the crowd and passed out during the show. Many people saw him fall backward, which they think was from an overdose. That night, he hit his head, broke his neck and died. Later, the Long Beach police confirmed that the death was an accident. It shook the concert scene. It stopped being a fun night and turned into a tragedy. More people were hurt, and several were arrested. Police said it was common for heavy metal shows to get out of hand, especially ones led by Ozzy Osbourne, who is sometimes called the Prince of Darkness. But for Ozzy, it was another reminder that his life was about more than just music. It was about risk, pain and loss, both in his personal life and in public. The bad parts of his life have always been there, even with all the awards, fame, and millions of records sold. But the problems didn't stop on stage or in public. Ozzy's personal life was falling apart behind closed doors in ways just as tragic as his past. The pain behind his marriages. Ozzy Osbourne has said in his book, I Am Ozzy, that he was a bad husband to his first wife, Thelma Riley. They got married in 1971, but they had a lot of problems together. I shouldn't have married her. She didn't deserve it. Ozzy wasn't being cute. He really didn't act like he was married. He was rarely home, drank too much, did drugs and cheated on her a lot. He remembered one night in California, when after calling Thelma, he slept with 3 different women. He also said that finding cocaine at that time made things worse. Ozzy feels bad about how he treated her. He said it was one of his biggest regrets, and he doesn't try to hide it. But his marriage problems didn't end there. Years later, when he was married to Sharon Osbourne, things got dangerous. In 1989, Ozzy tried to kill Sharon while drunk and high. The story is told in painful detail in the AEMD documentary biography, The 9 Lives of Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy told Sharon she had to die, and then tried to kill her. Luckily, they weren't alone, so someone stopped him and the police were called. Ozzy was arrested. Later he woke up in a cell, shocked and confused. He said the walls were covered in trash and dirt, and he couldn't remember what he had done. An officer told him, "You tried to murder your wife." It was his worst nightmare come true. Sharon didn't hold back when she talked about that night. In a 2004 interview with Reuters, she said, "If I'd had a gun, I would have used it." After that they broke up for a while, and Ozzy went to rehab. They got back together, but they never forgot how close they came to tragedy. Cheating, shame, and regret. Ozzy's problems with cheating didn't end with his first marriage. He had several affairs while he was married to Sharon for a long time. Sharon once said that he had cheated on her with at least 6 women, including fans, massage therapists, and even women who worked in their home. In an interview on The Big Interview with Dan Rather in 2022, Sharon told a shocking story about how she found out about one of his affairs. Ozzy sent her an email that was meant for someone else. Sharon was devastated and angry, and she even gave Ozzy sleeping pills one night to get him to tell her the truth. She knew he wouldn't admit to cheating unless he was feeling weak, and she got what she wanted. 6 months after Ozzy said the affair was over, Sharon found out he was still lying, and there were more women involved. There was a lot of drama between them, but they still chose to stay together, but things didn't go back to normal quickly. In a 2018 episode of The Talk, Sharon said that intimacy had become a point of contention between them. At the time, Ozzy was 69 years old and still had a strong desire for closeness. Sharon, who was 65 at the time, said she wanted a calmer life, but they kept going. Even though it hurt, they fought, and their trust was broken. There were also accidents and family worries. On December 8, 2003, Ozzy Osbourne was riding his quad bike on his property when he lost control, and it flipped over and hit him. At the time, Ozzy was high on prescription drugs, which made things worse. He broke his collarbone, 8 ribs, and a vertebrae in his neck. Some of the broken bones were pressing on blood vessels, which made the situation life-threatening. He later said, "I died twice." His bodyguard Sam Ruston was nearby and rushed to save him. Before help arrived, Sam was able to bring him back more than once. Ozzy needed surgery right away. He was in a coma for 8 days, and needed metal rods to hold his body together. He said he was lucky not to be paralyzed, and even luckier to be alive. But while Ozzy was in the hospital, his family was having their own problems. For doctors to say, "Well, this is your injury from the fall, and this is what comes with Parkin as well." In 2002, Ozzy's wife Sharon was diagnosed with colon cancer. It was a long public battle. Ozzy later told Classic Rock magazine that he was sure she would die, and he said it was terrifying. Sharon also had problems with her body image and bulimia. It was hard for her and Ozzy to see her go through it. Their kids were also having a hard time. Kelly Osbourne started using drugs when she was only 13. Her addiction got so bad that Sharon sent her to a mental hospital for 3 days to try to scare her into staying sober. Jack Osbourne also had an addiction problem. He became hooked on painkillers when he was 17 and had to get help. Of course, both Kelly and Jack later got clean, but it was hard on the whole family. The kids who stayed away, Ozzy and Sharon's reality show, The Osbournes, made their family famous, but not everyone wanted to be in the spotlight. Ozzy has a son named Louis and a daughter named Jessica from his first marriage. Not a part of the show, Louis showed up for a short time, but stayed out of the public eye most of the time. He tried to make it as a musician, but wasn't as successful as his father. In 2013, Louis and his wife had money problems and had to file for bankruptcy after a car accident. Ozzy and Sharon's oldest daughter, Amy Osbourne, chose a different path. She didn't want to be on the show and moved out to avoid the cameras. She was 19 years old when the show started and didn't want her private life to be shown on TV. This hurt Sharon a lot, but Amy stood by her choice. She later told The Independent that the family had many fights over it. She also dealt with depression and stayed out of the public eye for a long time. Amy eventually got back into music and acting, but she stayed away from her family's fame. Amy is friendly with her parents now, but she's still not close with her siblings, Kelly and Jack. The Osbourne family may seem strong on the outside, but there are deep cracks in the wall. Also, Ozzy Osbourne was seen as almost untouchable for years, a rock legend who had survived it all. But in January 2020, the illness that rocked his world, he was diagnosed with a form of Parkinson's disease called PRKN2, showed everyone that not even the Prince of Darkness was unbeatable. Many fans thought he was close to dying because of the cancelled tour dates and health rumors that had been going around for months. Ozzy finally cleared the air and said that telling everyone the news felt like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. He also said that 2019 had been one of the worst years of his life, with a serious fall and other health problems, including a painful infection. Ozzy refused to give up even after being told he had the disease. His wife Sharon made it clear that it wasn't a death sentence, it just affected some nerves in the body. Some days are good, some days are bad, and then a really bad day. Ozzy's message was clear, he was still fighting, but his health problems didn't end there. Fans thought Ozzy's fall in 2019 wasn't as bad as it turned out to be. He lost his balance on his way to the bathroom and hit the ground face first. The impact broke the metal pins in his neck that were there from an accident on a quad bike in 2003. Ozzy later told the Daily Mail, "I saw this big white flash when I hit the floor and I thought, you finally did it now." He thought he was unable to move,
It hurt too much to move after the fall. The pain never goes away. I was in terrible pain for the first 6 months, he said. When asked to rate his pain on a scale from 1 to 10, Ozzy didn't say 10, he said 55. He had to have several surgeries on his spine, and the healing process was long and painful. It's awful to wake up every morning and not be able to move. He said that these health problems, on top of the ones he was already having, completely changed his life. Because of this injury and the long-term effects of his illness, he had to make one of the hardest decisions of his life. He had to quit the stage. Ozzy Osbourne made an emotional announcement on February 1st, 2023. He was retiring from touring. He had been sick and in pain for years, and finally made the decision. In a message to his fans, he said, "This is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to share with my loyal fans." Years of medical treatments tried to fix his spine, but they weren't enough. The stress of traveling and performing night after night was too much for him to handle. The fall in 2019 made things worse because it brought back injuries from his accident in 2003. However, Ozzy wasn't ready to stop performing completely. He said, "My team is currently coming up with ideas for where I will be able to perform without having to travel from city to city and country to country." Fans still wanted to see him live, even if it was just in one place. But after this news, he had more problems, including missing a show that he thought would be his big comeback. There were also rumors that he had died. In 2023, Ozzy Osbourne was supposed to make a huge return to the stage. He was going to headline the Power Trip Music Festival in California, playing with big names like Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and Iron Maiden. Ozzy had to cancel the show a few months before it was supposed to happen because "My body is telling me that I'm just not ready yet, and I'm much too proud to have the first show I do in nearly 5 years. Be half-assed asked. Fans were upset, but many understood. His place was taken by Judas Priest. While Ozzy tried to rest and get better, the internet had other ideas. A YouTube video falsely said that he had died, and Ozzy shared the story on the Osbourne show. "I put it on and I died," he joked. There was even a fake death date on the video. November 18th, 2024. Ozzy laughed about it and said that Monty Python once said, "I'm not really dead, just a little flesh wound." But that wasn't the only story that was not true. Photos of an Ozzy who looked weak had been the subject of rumors for months. Jack, his son, had enough. Jack said, "He's fine. These people lie all the time."